Welcome to Goobertown Hobbies. My name is Brent. It's a beautiful day out, so let's prime some minis. In this video, we're going to talk about the basics of priming. We've also got some tips and tricks that you probably haven't seen before. A nice coat of primer makes the task of actually painting those minis so much easier. It gives your paint something to stick to, and the color of the undercoat can help to set the tone for the whole paint job. You can paint minis without priming them, but the paint job is a bit less durable, the paint feels weird coming off of the brush, and you don't get to choose the color of the undercoat. Primer comes in 3 basic flavors: brush on, airbrush, and spray can. Spray cans are most popular because they're fast, relatively cheap, and they can give really good results. Here's a rapid-fire summary of the other types. Brush-on primer is affordable, and you can use it anywhere. It's useful for making repairs on minis. It's also good when you're unable to use spray primers where you live. It's also slow, and it doesn't give a smooth coat. But hey, it's silent, and it doesn't put particles into the air. If that's what you've got in your bedroom or apartment or your hotel room, well, that's what you've got. Next up, airbrush primer. Putting a liquid primer through an airbrush gives a nice smooth coat, and it allows you to be reasonably precise. The airbrush is fast, but not as fast as a spray can. Airbrushing does put paint particles into the air, but if you're smart about it, you can airbrush indoors. Once you've invested in an airbrush, a compressor, and a safe place to spray, this can be a convenient way to prime all year round. If you're interested, I'll link to a video that I made about airbrushing. The main topic of the day, though, is spray paint. These are readily available, affordable, and all you need is an outdoor location to use them in. Inside those cans is a compressed mixture of propellant, organic solvent, binder, and pigment. The compressed propellant is used to shoot solvent, binder, and pigment at the target. The solvent evaporates quickly, and what's left behind is pigment held onto the target with a polymer binder. Spraying models with rattle can primer is fast, but it's gotta be done outside. The fumes from organic solvents like acetone and xylene are smelly and not good for you. Spray paint can also be a bit messy, so make sure that you're not accidentally painting somebody's property. In terms of quality, you can get some really great results priming minis with spray cans. With a little experience, you can get it to go on thin and smooth. As an extra bonus, this type of paint tends to be very durable, and works well on metal minis as well as different types of plastic. The goal is a thin, uniform layer of primer. We don't want to melt the mini, clog up the details, or add any strange new textures to it. Depending on where you live, some of the spray primer at your local hardware store might work well for minis. I have some experience with this brand of primer. It's $4 per bottle, and I'm able to make it work pretty well. The safer move is to buy primer specifically marketed for use with minis, especially when you're just starting out. Spray primer from Games Workshop, Army Painter, or Vallejo are more expensive, but at least you know that you're buying something that will work. For a lot of folks, the peace of mind is worth the extra money. Whatever bottle you buy, its performance will vary based on the temperature, humidity, how old the can is, how much is left in the bottle, and whether or not the contents are properly mixed. Ideal conditions are warm and low humidity, with a reasonably full can that's been well shaken. Humidity is the condition that's really outside of our control. Things just don't work right on humid days. Save up models that need to be primed, and bide your time for good weather. The temperature outside is less important. The bottle itself and the model should be warm, but the air temperature doesn't matter too much. On cold days, keep the models and spray can inside and warm until you're ready to walk outside and spray. When you're done spraying, bring everything back inside. If you happen to store your spray paint in a cold place, you can warm it up by putting it in your jacket or in a bowl of warm water for a few minutes. On cold days, I let my models finish drying indoors. The organic solvents in spray paint can partially dissolve polystyrene plastic models and cause them to look a bit melty. This isn't a problem as long as you don't allow wet paint to pool on the models. In cold temperatures, solvents take longer to evaporate. so it's better to let models finish drying in a warm room rather than a cold garage. Fresh cans of spray paint tend to be more reliable than cans that are approaching empty. Once cans are down to a quarter of a tank or so, the risk of nasty textures seems to go up. Use fresh cans on models that you really care about, and use the dregs on terrain projects. Now let's talk about how to spray paint. The goal is to put down quick, light dustings that build up to a smooth coat. Point away from the Mini, start the spray, strafe past the Mini, then stop the spray. Hit the Mini from different angles to try to get an even coat. Don't let pools of liquid build up on the Mini. As with other aspects of Mini painting, multiple thin coats are preferable to one thick coat. You'll hear different advice about how far away to hold the can from the target. With this can on a hot day, I'm trying to hold the can about 8 inches or 20 centimeters away. The goal is to give the paint enough flight time so that the solvent finishes evaporating shortly after hitting the target. Check the back of the can for their instructions, and with a bit of practice, you'll figure out what works for you. Now you can see that I have a bit of a contraption here. To help get an even coat of paint, it's useful to have a painting handle, or at least have the Minis stuck down to a piece of cardboard. That makes it easier to hit Minis from all the right angles. Double-sided tape, or a bit of poster tack, or even a small dot of super glue can be used to hold Minis down to a surface. Some people use cardboard boxes. Others use wooden paint stir sticks. I'm using angle iron. I'm using this because it's a convenient material that I happen to find in the trash. It also has a nice benefit of being ferromagnetic. I often put magnets on the bottom of my bases, and that's a nice way to attach them to a painting stick. In this case, the skeletons don't have magnets, so I used poster putty. And check this out, I made a painting handle with magnets specifically for these pieces of angle iron. I drilled holes and put magnets into a rectangle of wood, and I mounted that onto a dowel. This is an easy way to hold a squad of Minis for priming, or even for painting with a brush. It's also super easy to trade out one squad of 10 for another one. This hobby is all about finding ways to express our creativity. This handle brings me a little bit of joy, so I'm sharing it with you. As you're sticking Minis to a box or a spray stick, this is your last chance to make sure that the models are clean, there's no dust or cat hairs, and there are no nasty mold lines that will haunt you later. If for some reason you have dirty or greasy Minis, you can wash them with soapy water and then prime them after they're fully dry. Anyway, with Minis in one hand and the spray can in the other, it's quick and easy to give them an even coat of paint. Wearing gloves while spray painting is a good idea, and when I forget, I tend to regret it. On the topic of personal protective equipment, there's no harm in wearing a mask. Now let's talk about this frame thing. The uprights are metal, so I can use magnets to add those angle irons as rungs, and I can space them out however I want. It turns out that this contraption is a very convenient way to prime 50 Minis at once. I told you that there'd be stuff in this video that might be new to you. Working with this thing, I had a lot of control. I was able to hit the models from a bunch of different angles and get good coverage. It wasn't all that much faster or easier than just switching out sticks of 10 Minis on my custom painting handle, but both of these methods brought me some joy. Let's talk about color. For these skeletons, I started with a coat of black, and then I hit them with a spritz of red-brown from a high angle. There's a whole lot of strategy that can go into picking primer color. Paints are partially translucent, so undercoats are always going to show through to some degree and blend with everything else on the model. The traditional advice is to use black primer when your final Mini will be dark, and white primer when you plan on painting bright colors. There are way more options than that though. You can get spray primer in tons of different colors, so don't be afraid to really tailor the color to your Minis. You can prime goblins with green and blood angels with red. As for the neutral colors, gray is a perfectly reasonable alternative to either black or white. For a warmer neutral undercoat, brown or tan can be a great choice. Something cool about spray primers is that we have the option of spraying with 2 or more colors. The best known example of this is zenithal priming. A model primed in black can be given a spritz of white from above. This lights up the Mini. If we look at it from the top, it's whitish, from the bottom it's blackish, and the overall effect is gray. Depending on how thick our subsequent layers of paint are, some of this lighting effect may still be present in the finished model. This is a super easy way to incorporate some highlighting and shadows into the Mini. This method of priming is also gentle on the eyes. Even the camera likes it better. This makes it a bit easier to see details on these tiny models and decide how to paint them. On these skeletons, I used red-brown on top of the black. This only takes a few seconds, but I think it adds a lot. The shadows are still nice and dark, and there's a decently smooth transition between the colors. I put strategy into this color choice. Cloth, leather, bone, mud, and rusty metal are all believable in the colors that I use to prime. As I continue to paint these models, some of that primer is going to stay visible, but it won't look out of place. That color is going to help disguise all of the mistakes that I'm bound to make. I'm probably going to forget to paint a lot of armpits, but with these primer colors, nobody will ever notice. One advantage of dark primers is that they can hide mistakes a bit better than light primers. Well, I think these were all the priming tips that I wanted to share today. I'm sure the comment section will be alive with more hot tips and alternate ways to do things. Make sure you're subscribed to Goobertown Hobbies so that you can see what I do with this pile of skeletons. That's it for today. Thanks so much for watching.